Hi, I'm Warren from Contemporary Mystics, and welcome to my weekly platform to explore spiritual insights I've discovered from the mystic, contemplative, and wisdom traditions that I trust will enrich your own experience of divine consciousness and presence. There's a story about two young boys that were sent to see the local parish priest because of their unruly behaviour. While both of the boys were seated in the parish office, when the priest looking at them asked them, "Where's God?" Well, the two boys didn't know what to think. They looked back at each other and then back at the priest. So the priest asked them again, "Where's God?" This time, the elder of the two leapt to his feet, saying to his younger brother, "Run! They've lost God, and I know who they're going to blame." The point is about communication with clarity, communicating clearly. Today, I'd like to briefly explore what I see as the core of spirituality. I was involved in the church from my early 20s and served as a church minister until I was 37 when I left the formal church. For a number of years prior to leaving, though, I'd felt a shift in my consciousness. I wasn't comfortable with the church's emphasis on fundamentalism, biblical literalism, or the religious obligations that were placed on people for what the church saw as living a successful spiritual life. Because from my understanding, these got in the way of truly realizing who we spiritually are, our true spiritual identity. The mystics tell us we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. A fundamental and radical shift in consciousness to the way that most Western Christians see themselves. To the mystics, our spiritual identity existed before we were born. We are eternal souls, star people if you like, the infinite present in finite form. We are already in divine relationship and so have everything that we need to live the spiritual life. We just need to realize this. I'm convinced that when we see ourselves merely as humans trying to be spiritual or living the spiritual life, we'll spend our lives caught up in the religious performance trap of striving to spiritually measure up to a whole lot of religious ideals and expectations, when the truth is there's nothing to measure up to, because we are already inherently a spiritual being and have everything that we spiritually need. So we can't be any more spiritual than we currently are. We can just awaken to who we are. The role of spiritual teaching then is to remind us so we can embrace with more of ourselves what is already spiritually true about us. This truth escapes so many people because for the most part, we've forgotten who we are. The spiritual teachers tell us that this condition starts around the preverbal stage of our human development with the birth of self-consciousness. When we became self-conscious, this gave rise to what's called the separate self, a topic that we will look at more in depth. True spirituality to me is about awakening, realizing, and becoming what is already spiritually true about us, our true identity, and then living from this truth, living from the inside out, not from the outside in. This identity is what the mystics refer to as the true self. Our true self is our inner, eternal, divine identity, mysteriously indwelling within each one of us. We are not simply human creatures in a long history of evolution. We are each an individualized expression and incarnation of God, of divine reality. Realizing our spiritual identity liberates us to live our true human fullness, fully human, fully divine. The true humanity that we are created to experience in our human adventure, and that the creation itself is waiting for its manifestation. Spirituality is about seeing ourselves this way, seeing ourselves as God sees us. As the mystics say, the eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. Ultimately, the discovery of God and the discovery of our true self is the same discovery, and I guarantee will be our most wonderful discovery. The mystic Thomas Merton once said, "We are already one, but we imagine that we are not. And what we have to recover is our original unity. What we have to be is what we already are." The core of spirituality is the realization of our oneness, our divine union, that we are already one with God. Of course, divine union isn't something that we can do ourselves. It's done to us. This is the work of awakened and transcendent consciousness, the work of the divine spirit of divine grace, where we open the interior space of our heart and become available and receptive, a welcoming place to allow God to be and do all that God wants to be and do in and through us. This, to me, is the core of spirituality. Thanks for tuning in today. Let me know how this resonated with you. And until next time, have a truly inspired week.